The Kickoff Clash qualifiers are in full swing and, well, I don't know if Valiant really have the chances to do it, but it's looking a little bit hairy for the Philadelphia Fusion at the moment. This week has been action-packed, Lemon, but it's not been great for the Philadelphia Fusion. Going up now against the LA Valiant, a team that is still hungry for their first win in the franchise in over a year now.
Yeah, the Valiant, without a win, and will not be having a ticket to the Kickoff Clash qualifiers, but they have a chance to decide who gets that 4th place spot. If they beat the Fusion, it could be the Hunters, but if they lose to the Fusion, it could be the Fusion moving on to the Kickoff Clash qualifiers. And the Valiant, also, especially Becky, has been impressing me on the Genji. The last series we casted, all I could say was Becky was just so fun. And we even saw the debut of Innovation in our last series where he came in to play some Mei, and it actually worked out, and that was on Midtown.
It worked out on Midtown, less so on New Queen Street, admittedly. Dia getting a power nap in, doing his best lip on King's Row impression. On the other side, of course, we have the Philadelphia Fusion. This is a roster that has big expectations on the back of it. Fury, of course, a one-time Overwatch League champion. Back in 2018, Fury was integral to a victory of the London Spitfire, and well, London Spitfire seem a little bit far from that glory these days. But a huge investment in rookies here from the Philadelphia Fusion is hopefully, in their opinion, going to be paying dividends. MN3 and Zest have been brought in, and MN3 has been very impressive thus far on their flick scans. The Widowmaker and the Cassidy, weirdly, have been incredibly notable for MN3. He seems to be an average Cassidy enthusiast.
I know there's a lot of hype behind Zest too. Has been primarily on the Genji. You've seen some Tracer, some Reaper, and I just love the flexibility. And obviously the Fusion have the roster to do it, but just kind of a shaky start, right, for the Fusion. They lost to the Seoul and Chengdu, but took a quick win against the Dragons in their very first match, and winning against the Charge, who are on the bottom end of the leaderboards. So this is a must-win for the Fusion if they hope to go to the Kickoff Clash qualifiers. Like I said, Valiant can't go there, but they sure as heck can force their millionth Game 5.
Los Angeles Valiant have lost to a lot of people in the last few years, Lemon. But no one more so than the great game mode of Control. Los Angeles Valiant appear to, at the moment, be horrifically allergic to Control, so we might see a, we are hoping for a Los Angeles Valiant who can one day win this map, because we need to see Valiant start to win Control maps. Otherwise they won't win series, because in so many series you are going to be playing 2 Control maps if it goes to 5, and if you lose both of them, things are looking dire. Philadelphia Fusion going to be rolling out here with the Zest Echo. Fixer's going to be on the pocket. They're going to be going up against Dia here, and once again Los Angeles Valiant have opted out of the Lucio.
Lynx on the Brigida again. Remember, we had some criticism about this, of just, this is being kind of like a budget Lucio, the rally not as good, but just hoping to negate anything that were to come their way and just have those nice AoE heals. Zest has the Mercy Pocket, is already in the back line, starts bombing up Sashin, which forces out some bubbles. And Valiant, do they have a response to Zest? It will be Dia that has that range. Middle map control for the Fusion, as Zest has been completely untouched. As soon as he lands enough bombs onto someone, he can bring that focusing beam out, and that could be enough for an execution. He gets way too close to Coldest and kind of flubs his flight out of that room. So Zest might have been free, but not that free.
Yeah, Zestfair was really feeling a pressure to try and find an opening pick, and Fixer is eventually going to escape until Dia hits the rocket that's needed. Los Angeles Valiant here. They can't afford to give away this point for free, even if Fury's a very scary individual. Dia's the one who steps up to the plate to try and challenge that Zarya, but Fury's currently isolated. He needs to be punished, and that's a miss on the whip shot from Lengsa. Very cringe.
4 on 3, though, for the Valiant. They finally pressure away the Fusion. Zest might have gotten the pick, but the Valiant have the point. That's all that matters. And now that Lengsa and Sashin get to play on point, the bubbles and the Inspire will be good enough, but not if you just get beamed down by Zest. And that's where the Valiant maybe shouldn't have stuck around without Dia. And Dia will be ready for the Visor to deal with Zest, like I said.
Like, I don't understand how Fury remained alive there, managed to get all the way out with all of that energy, Fury's got like a mechanical aggro drop or something where just people forget about him. And it means that Fury now almost has access to the Graviton Surge. It's more than twice the charge of Sarsin. And this could spell doom for the LA Valiant already.
Coldest already having just to invest nade and not able to use that offensively kind of sucks. And Nano Visor, they're okay. They're exactly where they want to be, on the high ground. The Fusion investing the duplicate. The Grav not netting them much. The Fusion heading for the hills. As the Valiant, they slap harder. But Fusion thinks it's winnable. They nano Zest. He just can't seem to ring around the Rosie against Dia. He's just too fast. Valiant have rotated to the point. They get the flip. They have middle map control. And the Fusion, they're left circling back.
Confused by the evasive display of a Soldier 76, the nanoed Echo slinks away in shame. Los Angeles Valiant there, they managed to get some significant value out of their engagement despite being grabbed, and I think that Fury might have miscalculated how well MN3 would be able to get any damage in onto that grab. Of course, with the Nano Visor as well, Dia essentially zoned anyone away from getting a direct line of sight on it because they would have been pummeled down by the heavy pulse rifle.
Oh, Becky. Oh, good chance on the deflect. As soon as you meet that on the other side, you do not want to afford to get slapped because that is insta-death in this 5v5. Becky with the blade to disengage, I guess, and maybe thought he could force out some cooldowns and at least gets the Valkyrie out. Fixa manages to res Zest. Fusion at full force. Becky receives the nano. But Valiant are a little bit split on their approach. They don't seem so fully committed until now. The grab from Sashin is thrown, the overhealth to keep them involved. And the Fusion have only lost one, and they trade with Dia. So Valiant pulling the trigger is not enough to fully kill the Fusion until they overwhelm MN3 and Aim God at the back. So the Valiant just have to deal with Zest, and they'll get the flip.
Langsa looking to chase down Fix so they can fly. It's not fair for my tiny little mace, but this is fine. Philadelphia Fusion don't seem to have many who will be able to contest this one. And I'd like to point out that while I have been a noted Langsa brigator, did a really good job of, during the Graviton Surge of Sarsin onto Fury, interposing themselves between the victim Zarya and the attempted heals from Aim God, blocking them with the Brigitte shield, and essentially deciding, you know what, I'm not going to do more damage than Aim God is going to heal onto Fury here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my character to simply make sure those heals aren't delivered, and that allowed for the eventual kill onto Fury from Sarsin's high energy. Really heads up play here from Los Angeles Valiant, who are now one round away from winning a control map, Lemon. The impossible.
I know. Avril is just foaming at the mouth about a potential Valiant win, and I know he's just waiting. I like the Valiant approach of also just ignore Zest. I mean, Zest was really threatening. He gets one or two picks. Sometimes he makes these micro mistakes with his flight, but Valiant just go and attack the rest of the team who are on the ground. It seems to be working out. So Valiant will take control of the pack side while MN3 and friends go to the coast. Somehow Becky is trying to harass MN3, and MN3 isn't too bothered. He's already has the healing pack. He has some supports by his side. And now you have an ultimate flank from MN3. As the flank from Valiant was just much stronger. They had access to Aim God. Becky just snuck past that soldier and killed the support. So the Fusion have to be careful.
The coldest anti's so strong, but Zest will be able to survive. Becky has to be super careful. Is almost beamable here. Does get stuck, and now Los Angeles Valiant can once again play from a defensive position, which is great. It means that Zest can't have an extended poke phase that you desperately want with this damage-boosted Echo, and whenever you move into Dia's zone of influence, you are going to get absolutely pummeled by that heavy pulse rifle. Fury needs to be careful because he's currently isolated.
I like the Fusion spread you saw on the minimap, that they have a lot of range with the Echo and the Soldier. They're going to take as much advantage of poking at a distance on the Valiant as possible, and you can see how that's already working out. They picked off Becky, and there's nothing that the Valiant can do because they're not running a Mercy, so Fusion are up, now down, now that they've lost Aim God. Valiant have control of the pack room, have shoved Fusion down the right side hallway. Zest will still be up in the sky. Now that Aim God is back, Fusion are ready to fight. The nano goes to Sashin as Valiant just hope to maintain the control of the objective as Fusion are continuously just stuffed in this choke.
Okay, interesting here. They used the nano onto Sashin just to keep Fusion back while Langsa returns to the fray. It was more of like almost a time zoning nano if it was used. But now that can't be converted into a full playmaking combo like a nano visor. Dia still has this available, and Zest needs to be careful after using Flight to not get caught out by the visor.
Ooh! Good focusing beam. Dia couldn't escape through that one this time. Remember that ring around the Rosie on Lighthouse? Well, now the kills continue. And even though Fusion feel like they get these picks, I mean, the Valiant has had control of the objective this whole time. Surely it flips now. You're just hunting down Coldest. And there we go. Fusion get their first fight win on this round. But 93%, it only takes one for the Valiant to get finally a win on Control.
Yeah, from a slow start here, Zest has finally woken up, but Philadelphia Fusion, they need to be economical and very direct with their overall plan for the ultimates. Perfection is demanded, otherwise they'll be dropping a map to the Los Angeles Valiant. And LA Valiant, they have themselves so many tools to try and make this work. Graviton Surge here to force out an overreaction from Philly could be huge.
So Becky's on the right side, Dia on the opposite side of the map, looking for any picks that they can. Visors at the ready. The grab is from Fury just to get the solo kill on the Dia to shut down the win con of the Visor. A smart call from Fury as Valiant are left. Do they want to use any ultimates to try and match that trade? And they just don't.
Becky's noted, still manages to get healed here, and look who has
What? Valiant
returned.
flipped. What?
No way.
How did the Valiant flip? The Fusion were 5v4. Now Becky's in the backline. He's killed 3. Zest denied his duplicate. 99% in overtime at the ready. The Fusion just scrambling. And Valiant, hallelujah, have won a Control map.
One word, Lemon. Crikey. What just happened? Yeah, that is a hard yikes from me. Philadelphia give away the control point. And remember, the last time Philadelphia Fusion dropped a map to the Los Angeles Valiant, it stopped from being able to go to the June Joust. They were denying the Hawaii. And Valiant, once again, are proving to be potential kryptonites to the Philadelphia Fusion because this is their weakest map type. Valiant are at their strongest when we go to Escort, when we go to Hybrid. So Valiant have already crossed the hardest river. They have forded the Rubicon, and they have left Philadelphia Fusion scratching their heads and reeling.
If Valiant win a Control against Fusion, the Fusion fans are quaking in their boots. But our next map will be Watchpoint Gibraltar, and I'm real excited for the Widowmaker matchup. Get your popcorn. We'll see you after the break. Kickoff Clash qualifier spot is on the line. And the Valiant, well, have actually started the series off on a good foot. And they're also very effective on payload maps. That's why they always go to game 5s. They can't start or close well, but they're good right in the middle. And the Fusion fans are just on fire right now and not in the best of ways.
Yeah, the Fusion fans are currently worrying, and rightly so. We need a welfare check on Bad Pachamari, but there's also a world where Valiant win this, and they denied Philly the June Joust last year in one of only 2 maps that they won in the entire year. A critical map win to deny Fusion their tournament, and now they could do the same thing for the Kickoff Clash. Valiant are already out of contention. Surely there's no way that they can qualify for the Kickoff Clash. But they could ruin Philly's chances, who started off this season so strong, Lemon. 6-0. They swept the defending champions of the Shanghai Dragons, but now they stand with no maps and no maidens. However, there are still chances here, as Gibraltar is up next.
And the Fusion are on their knees down bad, but at least this time they can pray because we're on Gibraltar. And this is an MN3 Widow map if I've ever seen one, unless he decides not to. I'm really sending it on this Widowmaker, and I'm wondering if Dia's feeling the Widow or may just go back to the tried and true Soldier. Either way, I said that Becky has been impressive, and he sure as heck delivered at the start of the map. My only issue with Fusion really is like these tiny little mistakes, and mainly their macro rotations. Even in the last fight of Ilios, there are 5v4 that they just rotated out of the point for, so that'll take some VOD review and some molding from Avril, probably.
Well, let's talk about VOD review, Lemon. It's been a bad week for Fusion. And the thing is, because they have 4 matches in a single weekend, they don't have the chance to really iterate upon the mistakes that have been exploited again and again by teams. And it might be that Philadelphia Fusion, they've kind of been poo-pooed on. They've been dumpied by the schedule.
Well, the Roadhog. Hoping for that first initial hook on anyone that presents himself on the bridge. And we've seen this in North America, but Valiant ain't fallen for that. Sashin, though, the diva is disappointing me. It's a very close-range hero. I think he's lost every single map he's played the diva on, mostly on Control and certain maps like Dorado. But we'll see if kind of the low cooldowns on mobility, maybe the Matrix, will be enough to just have this constant pressure. Now, Fusion have already lost Zest, so they're kind of chilling out.
Remember that while Dia might be damage boosted here, they still can't one-shot MN3 at range with a headshot, and also suffers from a little bit of damage drop-off as well. So in the sniper duel, Dia is definitely ill-equipped and is mostly going to be forced to suppress MN3 instead of actually be a deadly countermeasure. Becky's doing a really good job here of just keeping this cart contested, not allowing Zest to get free push.
Yeah, Fusion at least sending one person down there is big. And I wonder where MN3 is positioning, clearly in the sights of Dia, but gets resurrected back by Lengsa. And usually, MN3 would want to keep that positioning to just expect that. So I'm wondering if Lengsa, of course, had a hiding spot, probably around a box or something. So Valiant are just losing control of the high ground. Fusion getting through the car wash. MN3 kind of assisting Zest with this Tracer situation where Becky is close to the pulse and can maybe make a big splash for the defense to take back control. Hits the shield, Fixa drops it, unaffected, and that's exactly why you play the Brigida.
Unaffected, unbothered in their lane and fully moisturized Lemon, but MN3 has found Becky. What a shot to take down a Tracer, and that will gift over the infra site as well. Sarsin's so hard to heal up here because there's no real burst healing from a Mercy and a Zenyatta either.
Yeah, just going full offense with a Zen Mercy, just all poke. Very low heals, just single target heals, so it can be trouble during these brawly fights. Sashin presents himself on the cart, contesting it before the capture as MN3 goes back to the server side. MN3 has been nanoed by Aim God close to the blade, but not getting there in time. Uses the deflect to get away as the Bob from Dia was able to contest as Lengsa keeps everyone healed up with the Valkyrie. And you can see that Dia has been discovered and the payload captures in front of their eyes. The Valiant just extended a little too far and forgot about the most important thing.
Yeah, Bob had to take his union-mandated break, so it was no longer contesting, and I think that Valiant may have expected to be a touch more deadly there than they wouldn't have had to worry about the timer of Bob. Now Valiant are going to swap over Coldest onto the Ana instead, no longer the Zen. It feels like there wasn't a huge amount of value that was gained out of a Discord Orb anyway, because Sasa didn't want to overextend to try and chase down those discorded targets. He just cannot be healed up fast enough, and Becky was playing a lot more cart presence than assassin. Becky, careful here.
Ooh. MN3 is unbothered, just drops, goes further away. And Becky's close to Pulse too, so we'll keep in mind if that'll beat Mn3. Might want to dodge Fixa, especially with that shield. Primal and Rally has started to overtake the ship control. Mn3 almost bursts it down, finished off by Becky. He got a trade though from the other side, 4-on-4, and Zest can't be stopped. So Fusion having a huge momentum push here, and this is big. Point B is usually so hard to capture, but Fusion never lost the fight, never gave up hope, and now they go into C with 4 minutes.
And MN3 is just demanding so much respect here. Coming in, we expected in this season, Lemon, for MN3 to be one of the shining rookies on Widowmaker. Previously, I believe their experience, they had some on Element Mystic, a very lauded team when it comes to their scouting, and MN3 was their Widow specialist for a good long while and very much made themselves seem worth it. Zest here's overextending a touch.
Really good timings on the stickies too. Saw the deflect, focusing beam out. Zest gone. Fusion now getting assaulted, but Valiant just got a little too far, and that's kind of the same issue as Point A. Is Valiant, they overextend but don't get the kills, so they're left without cooldowns, and now they're getting picked off by the Fusion, who just are sitting on the card.
Fixer fragging out as well. Fixer's actually been one of the most consistent members of a Philadelphia Fusion, has often saved them, especially on a Midtown recently. I remember as Lucio fragging out as well. Los Angeles Valiant, how do they bully past Belosria here, who almost has the Primal?
Oh, Valiant, you can't let this capture, though. That's a 3-minute time bank. The ults have to happen now. Lanksa keeping the team alive. He's in the bubble of Belosria. Sashin has to get the grab going. That's the major win con and the only one for the Valiant. He throws it in the face of the supports. The rally is still online. But the Fusion are starting to lose the wind in their sails. It's up to Belosria to cap, and there's no one from the Valiant left alive to contest. A 3-minute time bank for the Fusion.
LA Valiant, they were positioned like Becky would be able to survive longer, but a backhand from Belosria brought him down to 110 HP, so a fully charged body shot from MN3 was more than enough to discorporate the Tracer. Los Angeles Valiant, they've been sent reeling here on Escort, often one of their better map types. However, after this series, we might have to reconsider what is the most effective place for Los Angeles Valiant. Coming into this particular map though, Lemon, on Watchpoint Gibraltar, we did expect Philadelphia Fusion to have a significant advantage due to just a Widow differential in my opinion. Like, D is a really good hit scan, but I don't think his Widowmaker is quite on the level of MN3's, which is quite prodigious.
I just feel like the Valiant, with their composition, I like the Ashe at the start from Dia, but they just never were able to really negate any dives from Fusion. They never really held much space. Then as soon as MN3 was in positions, he was just slapping the Valiant around. As soon as the Valiant even just tried to move forward, they forgot about the card, so Fusion just ignored them and captured A. And then Valiant gets staggered, Fusion cap B, and Valiant just keep losing people to the Echo. So it was just kind of a flub of Valiant of never having a structure, but Fusion punishing them every step of the way to not even allow them a second to breathe. So with a 3-minute time bank, it's going to be really tough for the Valiant to scrounge a win here.
MN3 playing a solo off angle at the moment. You can see 4 members of Philadelphia Fusion are concerned with keeping that bridge occupied and just doing a little bit of scouting, likely pinging for Dia's location. MN3 you can see is also being consistently pinged to try and allow for Dia to find a engagement here and a first shot.
Oh man. MN3 kind of disgusting, and he's actually on the top of the boxes. You see different positions from the Widow, whether on the low ground or not, but it's clearly not worried about a dive because Sashi doesn't play Winston. So MN3 obviously adjusting his position to not being accessed by anyone. And Valiant are getting free card push, so if they want to stick near the card, they can do that, as Becky got disconnected from Lanksa and desperately needed those heals, and now Lanksa can't go for that res, not in front of MN3.
Yeah, Lynx was trying to play that a little bit lower to avoid the MN3 sightlines, but Becky just overextended and there was no longer the ability to channel that Guardian Angel and reach the vulnerable Echo. Velos3 is doing a great job here of just playing annoying in the backline, and without a Reaper to really contain him, Velos3 should be free to move wherever he wants.
Alright, Dia's alive and well. I can see that. That can finally be some signs of hope for the Valiant off that 5-on-4. So Dia will play card as the rest of the Valiant will want to keep and hold this high ground. You see Sashin having issues with that, or just stuff in the main choke with his bubbles. Now Fusion are stuck in server. I like that Becky's taking an off angle. Wonder how Sashin is going to try and hold this server's side, and who Velos3 is going to really want to dive after. I like that Aim God will be nice and safe. He'll want to be staying alive mainly to give this nano off to probably either Zest or Velos3, depending on who's in the best position. Meanwhile, Valiant have been so close to pushing, but Sashin just now loves the cart too much, a little bit overcompensating from the last round, while the rest of the Valiant weren't even there. But Sashin gets rezzed on the cart, so are Valiant okay or not?
Alright, there's the Zest that we have come to expect. Sarsen actually died so fast after they got caught on cut they couldn't use the second bubble. The first one came out, and the second it dropped, MN3 hit an instantaneous headshot, which meant that Sarsen wasn't alive to bring out the second. Becky going to collect their damage boost here, but you're moving into a Philadelphia Fusion who are loaded for bear on ultimates. The Infrasight likely to be used first, but there's a Nano Blade.
Nano to Zest, the blade onto the supports, and they're immediately gone! No healing left for the Valiant! And it's just rough, where they were just meters away from capping A. They had the angles, the correct positioning, and they just focused on the car instead of the fight. Now the Fusion are just giving them only a minute to get anything done. This is going to be rough.
And look at the Philadelphia Fusion comp and tell me that a Winston here would not absolutely do bits, Lemon. This is where Los Angeles Valiant really have their weakness, in that they do not have a main tank player or a viable Winston. Zest and MN3 could be bullied so well by that main tank, but instead Sarsen has to play on the Zarya.
Ooh, and Becky has been nanoed. He's already killed Fixa. Aim God is about to be dead too. Oh, what a sleep!
No.
Now Aim God can get healed back up, decides to try and duel Becky. Didn't know he had duplicate. It's the Ana 1v1 of a lifetime. And Becky whiffs the sleep. Aim God is still out of position, so Fusion have had no heals during this time, and Velos3 doesn't need it. He has Primal Rage, 25 seconds. Valiant, it's do or die at this point. Becky at least survives. He's out of his Echo duplicate form. Dia getting into position, but he's being harassed by the Winston, and the Fusion have regained positioning on the cart. You can see Becky is behind, but he's barely connecting with any of the heals he desperately needs. A few more meters to go, and Sashin is in deep, and the kills from the Valiant are not coming quick enough, and just probably not enough energy for Sashin to make a big enough splash. He still kills two, but it's Zest who stands tall, and the overtime wick will go away. The Fusion will take a map.
Hold the presses. Hold Tezonde's hand. This is by no means going to be a sweep now for the LA Valiant. Philadelphia Fusion have returned to where they're at their best. Flexing Velos3 on the Winston, being able to get themselves a bit of a tank differential. Sarsen had so much trouble trying to address the backline. We saw Becky panic, having to find themselves in a Ana duplicate to survive the duel against Aim God after getting slept while nanoed, and then after that handing over the nano to Dia on the Widowmaker instead, when Sarsen was right there, begging to be the more powerful frontline. A critical mistake, Lemon, and Los Angeles Valiant, they have a lot to think about.
Yeah, and that Echo choke was, like you said, not great. Even if that would have been successful, the amount of time that took, and the Valiant just, every time they have these momentum pushes, it's just never converting into kills. And then Velos3 was surviving without supports anyway. While Fixa was dead, while Aim God was in a 1v1, Velos3 just contested the cart. And it allowed Fusion to get respawns back up. So the Valiant, with a major flub, will give up that map. We have a series, though, tied 1-1. We will throw it to a break, and we'll see you on the other side. Becky, where art thou? Why you no longer so fine? The Echo, the Becco that we know and love just did not show up on Gibraltar. The 404 air just not there. But I think mainly there's just connections that are not happening between the Valiant, and you need that when the Zarya is literally the glue to the team, and it ain't very sticky.
Yeah, Becky may not be looking very fine on that map, but I'd actually like to personally hand out a fine for giving me some severe mental distress watching that Ana copy. Like, they missed the sleep dart, they didn't hit the nade, they looked at Sarsin with the nano and they were like, oh no, wasn't it to Dia instead? The nano Widowmaker is always successful. In opposite world. LA Valiant, kinda losing the plot, dropping the spaghetti, murmuring and Mia-ing. And now Philadelphia Fusion have momentum on their side as we head to our next map. We're going to Hybrid next, and with Fury back in, we are expecting once again for the Zarya Wars to continue on Eichenwald.
And Fury is back in the lineup, so no more die from the Fusion. But the job here is done. Waves his cape, Belvasria exits with the Winston overwhelming the Valiant. I mean, just the constant dives, just Valiant just couldn't hold any space, and not really having the comp to do so. I mean, Becky needs a lot more resources if you want him to pop off, but I'll commit a mercy when Becky can win a 1v1 against an Ana, but I mean, aim God, it's in the name, so.
You are mean and inappropriate, Lemon. This is a safe space. LA Valiant on the defense here. Dia has returned to the Ashe. This is kind of a it's an APAC special. APAC loves their Ashe, which is kind of interesting considering that Winston is a lot less common here in APAC. We're seeing a lot more Zarya from a lot more teams, and I think that the Ashe is at her best when she can use her coach gun to really dingy out the Winstons when they're making their jumps. Coldest has the lineup, some additional ult charge here from a set nade. Should at least splash a few members of the Philadelphia Fusion, but maybe they've just walked out the other door and avoided it.
Oh, I'm at 3. Oh! Becky just heart left out his back end. So did mine a little bit. MN3, the Cassidy shower, psych. We go to the Ashe. And usually you see the Ashe more for if you have like a decent high ground to throw some dynamites, or if you're expecting a dive, so. But I know some people are kind of hot and cold on the Ashe, but at least the hit scan will be helpful to keep Becky in his place. Now the Fusion have already crossed that main bridge. Going to the left side, you see it's the Echo duel. One having a Mercy, one without. But MN3 has the shots, and that's an opening pick for Fusion. Going back home. Going back to the Familia. Going back to the grave. Fusion, I mean, what a nice fight. MN3, I believe in the Ashe now. I'll never talk smack ever again.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Okay, we've lost leg day, but it sounds like when the Fusion took a fight win, they also killed leg day, so thanks. So for now, the Fusion scouting. It's the Valiant on the high ground. At least Lanxa's break can serve for something and pushing off anyone who comes near them, which mainly that threat is going to come from Zest. Wow, Dia on the high ground. Disgusting with the headshot. Of course, it's all forgiven by Fix, able to resurrect around the corner. Leg day. You got a pulse? We alive?
Yeah, I've got a pulse, but I do not have a pocket. And the same could be said for Becky, and that's really where Zest is able to get a real differential here over their opposite Echo. Coldest is looking for a nano here. Do you want to give it to Sarsin on an engagement, or do you maybe want to give it to Becky to play this kind of faux Reaper, getting bubbled on an engagement and burning through Fury, as Zest is making themselves pretty known here on the high ground?
So, yeah, the Fusion just, you know, when you have this Zarya, usually a lot of teams in North America anyway will bubble a Reaper, and that's kind of the sieging tool to go to the high ground. But if you don't go to the high ground, then you're just going to get shot at from the high ground. So there's Valiant dropping down, nanoing Becky. who is just going to destroy everything in sight from the Fusion. Maybe even catching a pick off Fixa, who invests a Valkyrie. Fusion are only down 1 and just wanting to conserve their ultimates. So Fusion, you can see Fury wanting to make that call. Let's go inside of Castle, or let's try and push card, I guess.
Fury currently isolated, though. I think that something that has been consistently a trend for Los Angeles Valiant is they look upon an isolated Fury and they kind of assume that it's a bait. They don't punish Fury for their positioning very often. The same was on being done on Ilios even, where Los Angeles Valiant were actually winning. And MN3 again is outdoing Dia.
Finally, we see the Fusion present on the high ground. They throw their grab, but the bodyguard of Bob's from Dia was enough to just stop the Fusion in their tracks. Without Fury, there's nothing really protecting this team, so Zest will take up the role. The duplicate on the Zest doesn't do much. No grab acquired, no fight win acquired from the Fusion. And at least they're trying to get this high ground from the Valiant, but it's not working out.
Was that a Mercy duplicate?
Yeah.
When the homies want to pocket you, fine, I'll pocket myself. An interesting choice from Becky, and Zest is actually now swapped over onto a Tracer instead. This is going to give a little bit more cart pressure here, and if you can force Becky into a duel to stop this cart from moving, because Becky doesn't have a consistent pocket, you can force Lengsa to use those repair packs, which means they're super vulnerable to getting bombed. Oh, that's huge.
The instant, just Doritos. Fusion finally can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You still gotta win one more fight to actually cap that end of the tunnel, but hey, the high ground was gonna be a difficult task. They complete it. Now the Valiant, they have the ults for this fight.
The M in MN3 stands for Morbid, because he just morbed out and absolutely morbed upon both the supports of Los Angeles Valiant. The rally is going to have to be used here, and yes, it will continue giving that overhealth through the ante.
Yeah, Fusion just couldn't really fight that as Valiant scooted up to the right side. Gravis thrown from Sashin. Fusion are pretty well hidden, but Becky is above, handing out the backhand of justice. Fusion not feeling so hot after losing Aim God. And we kind of look back at the card who's currently being capped by Zest.
Guys?
Valiant don't know! Valiant don't know! Wait, no, Zest, you could have committed, please. I wanted to see the C9.
Dreams and dreams and dreams. One of the things that's really starting to be a worrying trend for me, Lemon, is I think Lynx are actually missing quite a few whip shots, and I need to see the accuracy on these go up so that not only can you continue to keep Inspire uptime high, but also really bringing in some additional pressure towards Zest and forcing out recall.
Now a few more meters to go for the Fusion. 1 minute to do it, close to grab. Zest in the back line, dangling and breaking the ankles of Dia. And he just needed to assassinate him. Now with the pulse bomb, I hope Zest knows. Dia still throws out the bomb before he ends his life, so something is contesting the cart. Becky's in the back line, great focusing beam. He's killed 2, all thanks to the Nano. His Fusion, it's a 2-on-1. Sashin left to contest this and will die, just shaving off a few more seconds for the defense, and Fusion will be capping B.
Oh, that was a great bubble from Sarsin, which saved Becky, I believe, from the pulse form of Zest. But in the end, AimGod just had an excellent position to be able to continually exploit the members of the LA Valiant who did not have their flank covered because Becky was busy being the tip of a spear instead. Los Angeles Valiant now, they're going to have to defend third, but they did manage to drain an admirable amount of the Philadelphia Fusion time bank, and now Bob is going to be the primary method by which Philadelphia Fusion can force forward momentum.
Let's see who Becky wants to duplicate this time, and I guess not even needing it with that pick on the Fixa. You're not too worried about the Fusion anymore. You know Zest doesn't have Pulse Bomb. He hasn't been able to really one-clip anything in this map so far, so the Valiant just keeping a close eye on him. Oh,
MN3. Bullets to the knees, Lemon, bullets to the knees! And now Sarsin doesn't have to worry too much about the Bob. Good sleep there from Coldest. And Becky's going to have time to respawn now to return with the duplicate.
Their Fusion, after that trading pick, a 4-on-4 ensues, and then the Fusion can continue this road. MN3 just doesn't miss as Lynx on the rally is only preserving himself and contesting the cart. Becky throws out the grab. The duplicate from Echo flies back towards Coldest. Sashin will be next with his own grab, but it's Furies that comes out first, and the Valiant gotta hope they can stop this, but it's just too late for this grab. It's up to Becky to kill everything in his path, and it's just not enough. Fury even got nanoed, and Valiant can't contest, so it's a 22-second cap from the Fusion.
When it comes to these hit scan doors, Lemon, MN3 is just looking inassailable. Yes, he is more of a flick scan. We saw potentially MN3 not being able to get the better of Dia in Soldier versus Soldier, but Philadelphia Fusion are continuously forcing these battles where Dia isn't allowed to play the Soldier 76 and can't bring out this sustained damage pressure, and that means that Fixer and Aim God are very rarely dying. I'd love to see Dia return to that Soldier 76, have the additional ability to move quickly and find off angles to pressure Philadelphia Fusion, because at the moment it feels like the only pressure Philadelphia Fusion are taking is when they opt into these 1 versus 1 duels like the Zest Engage.
Yeah, when the high ground is no longer an issue going into point C, you saw the Fusion just, this composition is going to do a lot better on it. You give the nanos to Fury, of course he's going to pop off. Dia's Bob's not getting as much value because they're just getting slept by Aim God as you would. And MN3 is also hitting insane headshots, which is giving Fusion these trading picks. Like, even in that last point C, Fusion were actually down a member. But because MN3 got a pick, they're able to take a 4-on-4 and use their ults. Like, Fury threw out his grab way before Sasha, and I'm not sure if Sasha was still in spawn or not. But then, you know, Fury's also getting more grab value. So, Fusion in a good spot to take a lead in the series, but they gotta hold Valiant back.
Now Philadelphia Fusion, they have decided to stick with the Ashe here, but Dia has moved over now onto the Reaper. This is going to mean potentially a lot of damage onto Fury and forcing out those bubbles early, but Sashin, you've got to be careful not to expend too much here for your own survival when Dia's going to be depending on you.
Yeah, good bubbles from Sashin. He's used both of them. Has to be wary because Fusion will be counting those as Becky as disengaged into a spot where Sashin nor Coldest can help him. Fusion now down only 1 member and will be able to negate the rest of the Valiant push and hold for now.
Yeah, that was curious from Becky right there. It's like, you know what? I could dive into 4 people on Liv. No worries, mate. Philadelphia Fusion, they're giving up the damage quite equally at the moment, so no one's really getting too close to an ultimate. But Coldest, because Los Angeles Valiant have been taking so much damage, does at least have a small amount of premium when it comes to the nano boost. Is that a 2-meter TP there from Dia? Oh no, he gets into the back quite safely.
See Valiant at least keeping their supports nice and safe from Zest in that mini pack room. Sashin taking a lot of pressure, able to help. Oh, Coldest already has nanos, so it's more about Sashin trying to generate some good charge without having that reset, of course. Coldest will give him the nano, has made the call. It's only 60%, should be enough to kill Fury, but he notices that Aim God is right next to him, so that's way better of a pick than Fury. Now the rest of Fusion are being pushed away, and the Valiant will be able to capture the point unless something majorly flubs, and it's MN3 with 2 picks, so this could be turnable. You can see that there is a Lucio of Zest on the point, but not enough to keep the contest going, so Valiant will cap.
Oh, and that one hurts as well, I mean, because Zest invested the duplicate here in order to try and contest, and I think because you are immobile during the duplicate, was unable to touch the point itself, and thus the ultimate was lost, as was the point. Philadelphia Fusion here, though, they're doing a good job of forcing out Sarsen's bubbles by getting super aggressive onto Visaya to try and deny Dia the capacity to engage by making sure those bubbles aren't available. But if Philadelphia Fusion are out-tempoed by Sarsen moving into them, so they can't control how much pressure Visaya is taking, Dia will be able to get much more done.
On the high ground, though, Bob at the ready. It's about, maybe you want to set this up in the backline, but now the Valiant are going inside of Castle. This will be an insane lane for MN3 to bowl down. The pin's almost set up. Valiant approaching. Valiant have their own ultimates. It's a Sound Barrier engage to maybe help survive against the Bob. It tosses up the Reaper of Dia. Sasha throws the grab, but everyone from Valiant is really too weak. I mean, Dia got deleted by Zest, and Zest got nanoed, so of course he's gonna do a ton of work. That was a really good fight win from the Fusion.
And I love that MN3 used that Bob as well, moving forward to get the knock-up and stop Dia from being able to really advance up on the back line of a Philadelphia Fusion so they could keep themselves safe and give their exposure to the grab at kind of their own tempo. Now that's not available for Assassin, but you still have to deal with the major threats on the Valiant. Either a Nano Blossom or a Nano Blade. And Zest has already taken a little bit of damage. Need to be careful to try and make your move before Duplicate is available, because those iframes on the Duplicate will really mess with your Nano combos.
Dia is already forced to use Wraith. The blade comes out from Becky. He's got Nano. Great deflects against MN3. Zest is in the sky, and Becky's too short. Still, the last right click will claim Zest and the rest of the Fusion, who are gone and dusted, as the Valiant will be able to move forward.
It was ambitious to go after Zest with a Nano Blade, admittedly, especially when you can't quite hit the dash itself as well. But Zest now almost has this Duplicate. And if you can get yourself into a position where you can run double bubble with the two Zaryas, you are going to be a brutal frontline force to try and get through, especially against Becky, who can't deflect those incoming Zarya beams. However, Dia on the back here looking for a chance to spin.
Dia noticed the bubbles used by Fury to help Zest's approach on the Echo, and Zest preserves his own life with the Duplicate, but it's an ultimate that's gone to waste. Not able to contest the cart, so Valiant will be capping B. Now they have 3 minutes for C.
Fury. They need to be able to find some value out of this next grab here. Sarshin moving forward, demanding so much. Dia wants Fury so bad. No longer will you be ignored. And Los Angeles Valiant, Lemon, we could be on the edge of what is the 2-1 prophecy. Remember that Philadelphia Fusion, they do have time in the bank, so if we do see a Valiant cap here, there will be second attempts once more. No overtime cap for the Philadelphia Fusion as Zest to swap to the Genji.
Zest sees this play from Dia, and it's important to keep Dia in check here. You cannot have Dia in this backline. That's a great pick from Zest. Now the defense can breathe a sigh of relief, especially this 5-on-4. It's a bio into the supports, and you can see Valiant are not too eager, and really, or Fusion not too eager, because Valiant are just too far away.
Oh, Dia swapped over to the Ashe now. Okay. I mean, Dia's good at the... Oh, there it is. The Soldier 76, Lemon. This is what I like to see. Almost universally meta for a reason. He is super powerful in this iteration of Overwatch 2. Huge amounts of sustained damage. And this means Fury has to be a lot more careful about where he disengages to. No Sleep going to be connecting here from Coldest. But will Sarshin be the recipient of the Nano?
Thinking the spot from MN3 can contest the car too if things get hairy. That's a great grab from Fury as Sarshin is gone. Not able to counter with their own grab. And that's again the initiative and the experience showing out of Fury.
Coldest lost for Nano. Coldest waited too long. We're like, oh, I can keep Sarshin out without the Nano. But you don't need 50% damage reduction. And at the worst possible time, they give over the Nano. So in transit, in the milliseconds where it is on its way to Sarshin, it was lost. And that might prove critical for Los Angeles Valiant, not only in this map, Lemon, but in this series. Because now the power play is missing. Instead, it has to be a grab from Sarshin to force out the defensive countermeasures, followed by a naked Becky Blade.
Becky is harassing that high ground, but it's Zest and Fixa, and that's just too much for Becky. As the Bob from MN3 thrown on the car to contest, it's enough to just buy a few seconds of relief. The grab from Sarshin is thrown, and it's just MN3 who overextended. MN3 gets nanoed, and that's an important call for AimGod to make just to preserve him. You can't afford to lose anyone, even though you do have respawn advantage. Valiant, Becky is gone, so it's not a fight they want to take.
A pair of raw blades now stand aligned and ready, Lemon. MN3 swaps over to the Soldier themselves as well. The pressure onto these tanks is going to be immense, and if both of these Zaryas stay alive with this amount of charge, the blades are going to have so much trouble getting any purchase because you go in deep and you'll be burned down by the Zaryas.
Especially against a Brigida, that's even tougher for Becky to deal with. Fusion now pulling the trigger. The grab from Fury traps Becky, who got nanoed. Waits for the blade to come out after the ultimate is done. Cuts through MN3. Searches for more targets. AimGod returns to spawn. And we're left with only 3 of the Valiant to keep this push going, or Fusion will go to series point. The respawns are closed. Zest will return soon. Sarshin is so low health. He could have backed up into the healing pad of Dia, but couldn't. There's no eyes at the back of his head. And the Fusion have pushed back the Valiant and have taken this map and will go to series point.
Victory.
It was a great map from the Fusion, who go 2-1 against the Valiant. And you're seeing the experience of the frontline really pull through with Fury making those calls. And even through the nanos, through the fire and the flames, Fusion have one more map yet to go to secure themselves in the kickoff clash. So we'll see you guys after this break. Welcome back from the break, everybody. We have maybe our final map yet to go. It's going to be New Queen Street. Fusion up 2-1. We have some interesting substitutions from the LA Valiant and also from the Fusion side who are still deciding, but at least we can talk about Valiant subs, where Innovation made his debut against the Shanghai Dragons and will be returning once again.
Yeah, Innovation, debuting against the Shanghai Dragons on Midtown, highly effective, managing to flummox the Dragons who hadn't seen the mate previously. But then, on the fourth map, we went to New Queen Street, and Fleta was subbed in to play a pretty great Reaper, and Innovation got absolutely rolled over, which means I'm quite surprised that Valiant are opting into the Innovation on New Queen Street again, given that this was a fairly fruitless endeavor last time. I would have liked to have seen Innovation on basically any other map. Maybe you could have tried to make something work on Iconvolt when you saw you're up against Fury. On the other side, it's kind of like a counterplay from a Philadelphia Fusion. Innovation comes in, known to play the Mei, so Belos Rhea on the other side has joined the fray once more to play the Winston. Much easier to try and escape Lemon from the grasps of the Mei, and also we have Carpe coming in, the franchise player for the Philadelphia Fusion. We haven't seen quite as much of him over the course of this season. MN3 has been taking up quite a few of those starting spots, but maybe Carpe is here to play a more reliable Soldier 76, because MN3's tracking isn't quite as good as his flick scan.
And I guess it will be still Zest in the lineup. Waiting to see him in the lobby, but, you know, whatever. This Genji's been pretty solid. Carpe also has the option to go to Tracer if they want, like, more mobility, because especially against Innovation's Mei, you're more wondering, okay, is the Blizzard going to get value? Because if you play a bunch of high mobility characters or heroes like Soldier, like Tracer, even Genji dashes out, Winston can jump out, it's going to be tough for Innovation to get that value. And I remember when we casted New Queen Street, where the Valiant got fully capped on by the Shanghai Dragons, it was not a good sight. Innovation's Blizzards just didn't get as much value. Now, I do think the Mei walls will be fruitful on the kind of middle neutral roads of New Queen Street, where it's extremely narrow and can get those isolations. But when it comes to the outer kind of rounder corners after that initial push, it's a lot wider, and that's where the Mei, you can't rely on those Mei walls as much.
I mean, admittedly, Innovation being subbed in also makes a bit more sense here. Like, even if it wasn't at its best yesterday against Fleta and the Shanghai Dragons, it's not been a fantastic game from Becky, I think it's fair to say, over the last two maps. It's been a couple of question marks from the Beckster. And it means that Innovation here could just be a breath of fresh air, a player who's coming in ready to go without the mental baggage of previous mistakes in these games weighing upon them. Philadelphia Fusion, though. Carpe's in a bit more of a relaxed situation, not only a 5-year competitor who's used to the most demanding of stages like a Grand Finals back in 2018 in Season 1, but also just season after season of high performances. Carpe has remained a consistent win condition for the Philadelphia Fusion.
Gotta see him absolutely pop off against Dia on the other side too. Just some big names on both these teams. We go to New Queen Street, maybe our final map, and just a reminder, this at stake is Fusion's spot at the Kickoff Clash in the 4th and last spot. If somehow the Valiant were to do Valiant things and send us to another Game 5, then and maybe even take it, then Chengdu would be at stake to maybe take that final spot away from the Fusion. But like I said, the Valiant got fully capped on by the Shanghai Dragons. It was not close. And just with how concentrated all these matches are over the 2 weeks for APAC, there's just not a lot of room and not a lot of time for the coaches to sit down with these players and come up with new strategies. So they're going to go back to, Valiant are going to go back to what they know best, which was Innovation's Mei.
Yeah, it was not close and not pretty, Lemon, when we saw it before, but Dia here playing on the Reaper means that Los Angeles Valiant are once again just trying to be a bit of a melee death ball. Carpe would easily be able to kite this, so this is all about how much damage Carpe can do before Belos Rhea is overrun, and that's why Carpe is going to be taking off angles, as you can see from our overhead at the moment.
It's important for the statue control. mainly usually set up a soldier here, but even just having access to the tunnel is great for Reaper to get flanks. As Belisria showed his face, he jumps back, and Valiant just not fully committed into chasing that down, although maybe it would have been possible, but Valiant hesitated and now flub on that first pick. Still have great high ground control. They could start to surround Fusion. Innovation just starts harassing Zest so he doesn't kind of climb back towards Coldest or Lenksa. So Valiant, they're going to have to kill something if they want this bot to move forward.
Timmy remaining indecisive for now. It's down to Zest to keep him from moving too far forward. Carpe's found the off angle. This was a win con, Lemon. Can't be chased off here.
Yeah, this is going to be great range, and as long as Carpe stays away from Dia, he only has to worry about, what, some right clicks from Innovation. Now, mechanically, Innovation was really impressive in that last series. The Pulse misses on Coldest, and he just tunnels a little bit too much on that support. It's an Innovation with the headshot. The mechanics I was just talking about. Now the Valiant have just the one-man, now two-man advantage, 5-on-3. Now have to advance and claim more, and they'll get to start this lead off pretty nice.
Oh, Belos Rhea caught here by Innovation, and for those of you who are fans of mathematics, you'll know that 75 times 2 for a headshot is 150. Exactly how much HP Zest has, Carpe is identified. This is a really dirty fight, them, and they're still going, and Sarshin's fallen down. They had to use a nano! What?
It's crazy.
What is going on?
It's fine. It happens. Valiant getting around this corner, and this is the corner I was talking about where the Mei wall is not going to be a perfect isolator, so Fusion, they'll be stepping up with a visor, nano visor at that. So it's, I'd say, important for Dia if he could get into a TP position to just try and surprise that, but now Carpe is in a position at the flanking window, and I'm not sure Valiant are aware. Innovation is just on the robot. At least Valiant have gone and rotated to the opposite side mini room where Carpe doesn't have good sights on, so Valiant clearly realized that Carpe is a threat, but how are Valiant going to go forward?
And for now, they're... Whoa! Innovation is too good, man! The icicle between the eyes! No more Nano Lemon!
And the grab from Sashin? I guess just on Fixa, I'm not sure.
Yes.
But, question mark? Well, it doesn't matter. 2 ults, and you get the fight win. This is a really good pace and a good lead for the Valiant.
I mean, Lenksa did kind of drop the spaghetti, though, sound barriering their own grab, which means that that's no longer available for the Nano Visor.
Yeah, we're waiting for the Fusion to unleash this now, and Carpe nano visor, and Dia tries to sneak up on him, and I wanted him to do that, but actually get the kill, but it's all Carpe all day. Long may he reign as Fusion get back on the robot and hope to get something going themselves.
That was a huge investment in Lemon. Philadelphia Fusion now have no ultimate, so not even halfway to one, and the Nano Blossom sits on the horizon, the Beyblade meta returning in earnest. You've got Zest on one side scouting for Carpe to make sure that the counter rotations from the sprint mean that Carpe is very difficult to accost. He gets TP'd on and directly blossomed! What?
Sure. Usually
Smile.
The primary fire is fine enough for single target damage, but good enough. Maybe Belisria was hanging around, and oh man, this is the type of aggression I wanted Dia to take. Just these off angles, the TPs in the back lines. If you could just constantly catch Fusion off guard, this is going to be great for the Valiant.
Dude, Valiant are playing some wacky tempo right now, and I think it's really messing with Philadelphia Fusion. They're not really sure when to expect these engagements, because we expect for Carpe to try and counter-rotate those. Zest pinging again and again. Dia's been spotted. Carpe's on the opposite high ground now, and Dia might be forced to use their cooldowns. That's going to make him public enemy number 1 for a stick.
Dia just looked left and right before crossing the road. Didn't know he was just right in the middle of traffic. At least he didn't die to Zest. Now the Pulse at the ready. You know the Ice Block's available, so May's not a great target, but you don't really want to blink in there with just how many members of the Valiant are there. The Pulse sticks someone, trades back and forth. Aim God is gone. Healing advantage for the Valiant. And Fixa's removed as well. The Valiant can now get back on the robot. They have 3, but there's also 3 from the Fusion back. They don't have a lot of heals, but slightly closer respawns from the Fusion, I believe. So we'll see how the Valiant are going to scrap their way through this.
And Innovation can try to kind of troll contest as well, using the wall as a dollar store shield that can't be broken through too easily. Philadelphia Fusion now, they have their power play though. The Nano Visor's almost available, as well as a Primal Rage, and it's finally going to be occurring while Philadelphia Fusion are in control of the bot.
Still 53-18, 3 minutes left. The Valiant with a Blizzard. Remember, just almost everyone from the Fusion can get away from the Blizzard. Belosria's gonna Primal force out the Ice Block. That's a great sleep from Coldest. Now everyone's just trying to ignore Belosria, but Coldest just didn't rotate away from the Primal, but seems to be fine. Fusion investing more ultimates than Nano Visor this time. It was like 20 HP in a dream for Carpe. And signs of life from the Fusion, who returned to the bot. A bit of a contest. There he goes. Zestus found it. Still some work to go for the Fusion to close the gap, though.
This is going to be the critical fight for the entire map here, Lemon. If Philadelphia Fusion can ward away the Los Angeles Valiant from touching this point, touching the barricade, they will be able to play from an advantage for the next 2 minutes. Zest around the back looking for a pulse bomb. They need to force out the bubbles from Sarshin first.
Oh, the ground. Ah, Coldest. Why? He just walked away, forehead. Sasha now thinks it's time to grab without his Ana alive. Langston not wanting to use the barrier to save Sasha, and he said, you made the mistake, I ain't gonna clean this up. Valiant down for the count. Innovation trying to stagger himself too. Pretty pog champ. Fusion now will be taking a lead.
Oh man, Coldest didn't know that just like an Xbox player, you can just turn 360 degrees and walk away. He dies again! I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed.
That was a good flank though. Was it a flank? I don't know how he
died.
No,
he was just hard peeking Carpe. What is this silver gameplay? Coldest has had a mare at the end of Iconvold and the rest of this now. Dia is identified by himself.
Oh, the barrier engaged from the Valiant. Vixa gonna match it. Blizzard in the tiny room just to get aim guard. That's the only target that can't get away, and Dia executes. Something the Valiant can work off of. Now you gotta zone these members from the high ground, but Dia just didn't get close enough. He's trying to strafe out of the shots of Carpe and takes an L. 60 meters for the Fusion with 45 seconds left. It's gonna come down to this fight to determine, are we going to game 5 or not?
I'm begging you to stop sitting on these pulse bombs. Humbly begging, good sir. Philadelphia Fusion, they have the advantage when it comes to the distance, they have the advantage when it comes to the manpower, and now control of TS1 is back inside their zone of influence. Innovation's dead, Sarshin's gonna fall as well. Lemon, this is looking like curtains for Los Angeles Valiant in this series, and this might be how Philadelphia Fusion stamp their ticket to the kickoff clash.
You don't even have to push the robot if you're the Fusion, but if you want to go for more, sure, why not? I feel like Valiant don't want to. Now you're kind of going towards a point of the map where Valiant have respawn advantage, so to each their own. Fusion gonna nano. Carpe unleashes the tactical visor. Coldest peeks it, stares into the god's eyes and falls, and the Valiant just can't do anything about it. Overtime goes away. The Fusion can take a series, and it's against the LA Valiant.
Their weekend, Lemon, turned around after that control where Philadelphia looked somewhat dire in some of these straights. They managed to get things back together. MN3 with the biggest of differentials in the last two maps, and then it's Carpe who comes in, playing the Soldier 76 and making sure that LA Valiant's more melee-focused comp just could not wear through the Philadelphia Fusion. And I hate to end on a bum note, but Coldest let the team down at the end of two maps twice in a row.
All of the Valiant, I mean, let themselves down. There's something not connecting. Sashin just off on his own, grabbing with Coldest dead. At least Innovation had a valuable Blizzard killing Aim God, but a little bit tough to watch as the Valiant look, they keep extending to these game 5s. And you thought you had hope when they took the initial Ilios from the Fusion, and Fusion fans were quaking. But Fusion regained that confidence, and it looked great.
Not wings out, it's kicked out of the kickoff clash. Valiant now surely have no way to qualify 0-5. There's still another one on the horizon in terms of matches, so Valiant can play spoiler. But this must be such a heartening turnaround for the Philadelphia Fusion. Their weekend has been going so poorly after such an elated start. Fusion fans got to believe for a week, Lemon, going 6-0 in maps, taking down Guangzhou, taking down Shanghai, and thinking, this is our season, gamers. This might be the one. And they still might make the kickoff clash yet, and it could even be with a good seed as well if they can go 4-2.
I think there's one player, though, that we were a big favorite of. Our player of the match will be MN3, none other. I mean, the diff on the Widow, the Ashe headshots on Eichenwald. He was really impressive, as usual.
Just the real difference maker, Lemon. The Morb N3 is unbelievable, and I think that MN3 being able to make the difference on Watchpoint Gibraltar is really what kind of destabilized Los Angeles Valiant and got Dia, Becky, and to a certain degree Innovation as well, into this mental place where there was this kind of inherent demand that they feel like they need to carry, put on their performance to really outdo MN3. And we've got to highlight as well, MN3 is a rookie. And while there's a lot of discussion around Rookie of the Year at the moment, because of course there are so many amazing players coming in from contenders, no one will be able to forget about MN3 if he keeps putting on performances like that.
Well, that might be the end of APAC for now, but just in a few hours, North America will be kicking off. The matches you can look forward to: the Atlanta Reign versus the London Spitfire, the Paris Eternal versus Houston Outlaws, Florida Mayhem versus the Washington Justice. Now, if you're looking forward to some more APAC action tomorrow night or morning, wherever you are in the world, we got the Shanghai Dragons versus Seoul, Chengdu versus the Valiant. Let's see if they can get their first series win at that. And the Fusion, their final match will be against the Hangzhou Spark. That's going to be a banger. So, that'll be the end of today. That was Leg Day. I'm Lemon Kiwi, and we'll see you tomorrow.